What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to talk about some fairly weird news which has come around in the Digimon trading card game. And it's basically all news that has come around because, well, Digimon cannot agree on what they're actually called, at least as it pertains to Japan and outside of Japan. So what we've ended up having is some Digimon that have been changing names, which hasn't been a huge issue until we get to Digimon like Burning Greymon and Kendo Garurumon. Now, interestingly enough, we do actually have proper scans of BT4 here. As far as I am aware, we've not actually been shown a lot of scans from BT4, so quite cool that we get to see some English language versions of them. But the problem is, these are called Burning Greymon and Kendo Garurumon over here, but that's not what they're actually called in Japan. You see, over in Japan, Burning Greymon is known as Ritramon, which of course is a very, very different name, and Kendo Garurumon is actually known not as Kendo Garurumon, but as Garurumon. Garurumon. I don't know. That one's quite hard to pronounce. The point is, well, Kendo Garurumon over in Japan doesn't actually have Garurumon in its name, and Burning Greymon over in Japan doesn't actually have Greymon in its name. And this is pretty important because we, of course, have some cards which specifically interact with cards that have Greymon in their name or Garurumon in their name. So, for instance, I mean, in BT5, this really came to the forefront because we've got the Agumon, that when you play, you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add one Digimon with Greymon in its name and one Digimon with Omnimon in its name from among them to your hand, and you place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. We've got Greymon, which has got an inheritable skill whereby while this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name, you get an extra 2,000 power. And they're the only relevant ones because obviously when we're looking at Ritramon or Burning Greymon, we're talking about a level 4. So honestly, even the Garurumon isn't actually going to be terribly relevant because it's an inheritable skill, but you get my point here. We have cards that specifically refer to if you've got Greymon. Now, we could keep going here. Let's not forget the promo Agumon that says if this Digimon's name contains Greymon, this Digimon gets an extra 2,000 power. And there are some nice examples that kind of show what I'm getting at here. My point is, it is actually extremely important to determine whether or not a Digimon has Greymon in its name, because that will actually determine certain skills and whether they interact with the particular Digimon. So, if we go back to Burning Greymon, it is really, really important whether we see it as Burning Greymon or whether we see it as Ritramon. Because Ritramon does not get the extra power if it is digivolved from Promo 9, the Agumon, whereas Burning Greymon absolutely does. Well, along those lines, a ruling has been made, and here's what has been said. Hello, Digimon Tamers. The names of some Digimon differ between the English and Japanese version of the game, creating issues in rules processing. As such, we've decided to introduce a general rules exception to address these differences. Character names that don't count as Greymon will be Dex Doro Greymon, Doru Greymon, and Burning Greymon. Now, you may have noticed at this stage that Doru Greymon? What is that? In Japan, it's called Doru Gurumon. And you might think, well, hang on a second. We've not seen that Digimon yet. That Digimon has not made its debut in the card game. And please, as always, correct me in the comment section if I have missed something here. But as far as I am aware, we haven't seen the other two. It's only Burning Greymon or Ritramon that's actually come into the TCG. But what we've got here is an example of future-proofing. You see, if they fix it now for Burning Greymon, then they've got basically 2 options. Never introduce Doru Greymon or Dex Doru Greymon into the TCG, which seems a little bit silly, or wait until they're introduced and change it then. But again, that seems a little bit silly. Why would you wait and change it down the line when we're addressing the issue now? So this is just an example of future-proofing, putting the rule in place now so that when those Digimon do make their appearances, we're going to be in a much better position. And you know what? This seems all right by me, ladies and gentlemen. This seems eminently sensible. Now, there is something I have seen from a bunch of people basically going, well, why don't they just fix Digimon names? Now, I cannot give you the precise answer to this, but what I can tell you is this. Anyone who is asking the question, why don't they just fix the Digimon names, has never been in a branding meeting from a high-level successful company. Now, there is absolutely a question as to why some Digimon have the same names over here and some don't. There are reasons. I don't know what they are. Some of you may, some of you may not. Why don't we change them now? Because in Japan, they're used to the names. And over here, they're used to the names. And there are movies and anime and books and toys and all sorts which have the old name. So if you change the name, change the Japanese name to match the English or the English to match the Japanese, then all of a sudden you've got so many products, media, everything out there where people are referring to the Digimon by the quote-unquote wrong name. And that gets extremely confusing. Nowadays, it is too late. You cannot turn Vritramon in Japan into Burning Greymon over here, and you cannot turn Burning Greymon here into Vritramon. We've gone too far, it would be too confusing. Why didn't we just have the same names initially? This is one of those. I'm sure there was a reason at some point. I don't know what the reason is, and I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, we are essentially too far gone here. Maybe one day we'll know, but unfortunately we don't know for the time being. Now, over in blue, it's a little bit more straightforward. It is just Kendo Garurumon, or Garurumon as it is apparently known over in Japan. Now again, we've got some cards that do interact here. We've got a promo Garurumon. When attacking, if this Digimon's name contains Garurumon, you draw one. And we all know that drawing is a fantastically powerful skill. So, being able to draw extra cards is blatantly a good thing. And then over in BT5, we got those same lot of things. Sunamon, that gives a Garurumon or Omnimon an extra 1,000 power. A Gabumon, that reveals the top 3 cards of your deck when you play it, and add a Digimon with Garurumon in its name, and a Digimon with Omnimon in its name from among them to your hand. And make no mistake about it, this makes these cards worse. What we're essentially doing is taking interactions which would absolutely benefit these cards and then saying, actually, you know what? No, they don't work. They don't benefit the cards. Ha 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 ha. And we can be upset about that, and that's fine. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that is where we are at the moment. We have deliberately changed things to make it more difficult, more awkward, phrase it how you will. But it also keeps things on a level footing, because the last thing we want is to have interactions and combos which work in the international version of the game but don't work over in Japan. That would be weird and confusing. I mean, people seem to be upset that we don't have uniform Digimon names. How upset would we be if we didn't have uniform rulings? And then when there were international competitions, which you imagine at some point there were going to be high-level international competitions, that seems like a bit of a given at this stage, well, we're kind of going to want to have uniform rules so that we can actually have the tournaments, and that wouldn't work. Like I've said, for blue, we are literally only talking about Garurumon. Nothing else actually works here, so we're good in that regard. It's only for 4 Digimon, but we need to do it. And again, there are 2 ways to look at this, and as far as I'm concerned, one of these is the right way, and one of them is the wrong way. I think the wrong way to look at this is to go, oh, Bandai messed up, Digimon messed up, this is terrible, they're not controlling their game, blah, blah, blah. Why didn't they just make these names uniform in the first place and be all grumpy about it? I think the better way to look at this is, hey, Digimon have seen a problem and fixed it as soon as they can. Bearing in mind, before now it wasn't a problem. We are getting to the stage where we are ramping up to the release of BT4. That is the next international release. So now, all of a sudden, this becomes a problem. With Booster 1.0 and 1.5, nobody really cared. But now that BT4 is coming out, all of a sudden we do care. So this makes perfect sense. And frankly, once again, I think this is just, and we've seen a lot of this, but I think this is just more proof that Bandai and the Digimon team really are looking out for us, really are doing everything they can to try and make sure that this game is good, that it runs well, and we are being looked after. They're not just looking at this and going, oh, well, that's annoying. They're making an effort to go and try and fix it, and as far as I'm concerned, that is absolutely awesome, and we should all be delighted. But now I want to hear from you guys, ladies and gentlemen. I want to know your opinion on all of this, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel and all that good stuff. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.